right, guys and gals, Crypto Kurt here with another crypto video, and today's very special because I have the pleasure of interviewing the two ladies from the Alpha Drop podcast. So we have Rachel and Jackie with us today. Ladies, how are you going today?
Wonderful. How are you?
Very happy to have you on the channel today. And again, it's a bit of a milestone because I've never put my face to camera before. So this will be a first for anyone who's watching on my channel too, which, oh, by the way, is Quantum Publishing on YouTube. So make sure you come check us out. We are focused on trying to look at cryptocurrencies and passive income. And then I'm moving into the education space, which we've done a video about that. So I'm the second person in the world to have achieved the advanced diploma of applied blockchain, and one of only 3 people in the world who are teaching that course. And we have some other courses around it as well. But this video is not about me, it's about you. So ladies, I want to jump right into it. We're going to try to keep this tight today. I'm curious, I know both of you have kind of different experiences in the world of cryptos, specifically in investing in cryptos. Can you tell me a little bit about what your experience has been so far? Maybe talk about the good, bad, the ugly, anything positive, negative. Where are you at and where have you been?
I will start this out because I have less robust experience than Rachel, but I didn't really grow up with investing around me. So this space has always been just as overwhelming as traditional investing has been. And when I was getting my MBA, I was learning about blockchain because I was doing a supply chain degree. And I started connecting the dots of like Bitcoin and how important this was going to be. And there started to be like tech startups going around, and I attended a seminar. And my friend Alex was running it, and he got me set up. But all the basics, got my Coinbase wallet, got into Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, a couple things. And now I'm just really looking forward to meeting new people like you guys who are exposing me to more. And it's been great because it's been a really nice value to bring people in my own life that don't have a lot of investing experience or don't think about this kind of thing. So just watching it proliferate at like a really integral time has been, is where I'm at. And that's that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, I started investing in cryptocurrencies on Christmas Day in 2017, which I remember because Curtis and I stayed up really late on Christmas Eve talking about cryptocurrencies in the future. And he literally took the time to explain everything about what it was and how it worked and the solutions that it was going to be bringing to the future. And after hearing him talk about blockchain and cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, I finally just had my eyes open. So I invested almost at the top of the market, close to the top of the market. And well, in the first couple of weeks, it took a few months. So I did see like incredible gains in a very short period of time. So that was great. But then, we had a big fallout. So as far as like good, bad, and ugly, but in that short time, I got completely hooked. I started with a simple account on Coinbase, and I just, put some money in there that I wouldn't necessarily care if I lost, and just wanted to track it and just kind of get my, toes in the water, so to speak. But it was very quickly like super, just eye-opening and I wouldn't say like addicting, but I was hooked. I mean, just doing the research, seeing the solutions, learning about the projects. So I started quickly investing in other companies, which meant I was had to transfer my money out of Coinbase onto an exchange, which was a different process. I did some trading on a exchange there, which was, not completely foreign to me, but new because I was using cryptocurrencies and not stocks or bonds. And then, I took it off of the exchange and put it onto wallets. And I had a couple of different kinds of wallets. I had apps and web extensions and some software and hardware. And recently I started staking. So I'm actually making money on coins that I have in a wallet just because I have them in a wallet, and I'm finally making coins on my coins. So that's my most recent fun experience. I will say that I started a YouTube channel that was very like briefly lived in 2018, just because of my passion for like wanting to open up and like demystify the space for new in like cryptocurrency investors and just kind of explain the process and really just share my excitement and kind of demystify it for the average person coming into the market. And when I talked with my friends, you know, a lot of times I could just see their eyes get starry, and, you know, the information, you know, nobody had heard about, you know, cryptocurrencies. Maybe they'd heard about Bitcoin, but like me, they just kind of like, oh, I don't know anything about that. We'll just like, we're not going to go there. And here we are 2 years later. And now all of those same people have Coinbase accounts and they have cryptocurrencies. And now I'm talking about, you know, applied blockchain and how it's going to be so great. And we're going to be using all of this stuff all the time. And again, they're like, you know, information kind of going over their head, starry-eyed, but it's really exciting that we're able to just be in this space and have these conversations, because it's going to be affecting our daily lives very, very soon. So that's where I am.
Awesome. Well, that brings up my a second question, and you know, I go to a lot of meetups. You know, I'm in the space. Obviously, I'm spending a lot of time on YouTube in the space as well. And if you've spent any time looking at cryptos, either from, you know, an investment point of view or you know, looking at it from an applied point of view, you'll quickly find out that there's very few females in the space. And I'm curious, you know, are you finding that your friends, your female friends specifically, are they waking up? Do you think this is something that more women should get interested in and involved in? You know, I'm always interested to see new faces come to the crowd. And as I go to meetups, I am seeing more and more females coming there, but it still is, you know, roughly 90% males at you know, at best. How can we get the word out to females? Do you think it's important for women to get involved? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I feel like if women are investing at all, then yes, they should be investing in the crypto market and diversifying their portfolio. But, you know, on average, women are investing 40% less than men. And, you know, you know, why is that? You know, especially considering the fact that as a track record, there was a study done in 2017 by Fidelity that showed that women on average have a better track record in investing. So, you know, why are so few women actually putting any of their money to invest, much less in the cryptocurrency space? But it's like, if you are investing, whether you're a man or a woman, then yes, you should be diversifying your portfolio and including some cryptocurrencies if you're able to just, you know, if you want to be a part of this wave in the future. I think that women in general just don't, or maybe their eyes aren't open to the fact that they're missing out. You know, cryptocurrencies, I think one of the things that makes it stand out is the fact that it doesn't have depreciation, unlike money that will lose value over time, because women traditionally just hold on to their money. I think it's about 70% of women have most of their money in cash, and they're not wanting to invest it. So they're just keeping it. And so, but cash is losing value, whereas that's not the case with cryptocurrencies. So we're missing out as you know, if we want to talk about women in general, on the opportunity to just make our money kind of work for us and invest in the cryptocurrency sphere. You know, my mom, my parents were divorced, and growing up in a separated household, my mom didn't make a whole lot of money, but the three things that I saw her do every single month was make money, save money, invest money. Next month, make money, save money, invest money. And I think that just left an impression on me that you are supposed to invest. And so that was just part of what I knew that was the expectation, I guess, growing up. And now, thanks to her wonderful children kind of sharing the crypto knowledge and sphere with her, she's got like almost 10 cryptos in her wallet, and she is doing really well. And she's, you know, just has been a inspiration, I guess, for me moving forward. But I think that as women in the space, we need to, like anywhere else, just have our voices heard.
I'm laughing a little bit because, you know, your mom was teaching you to invest, and I was in a very Irish Catholic household. So we were taught to give all of our money away. If you have an extra penny, you give it to someone else who needs it. So that wasn't really like a part of my experience. And I think that kind of leads into your question, Curtis. When you think of really marginalized groups being sort of shut out of certain spaces, I think a lot of that is generational mindsets. It's not our fault that we end up where we are. But even for me, taking this sort of personal responsibility route and saying to myself, you know, and there had been a point, like I'd really gotten out of, you know, low economic status, but I was still blowing my money on like dinners and drinks and this and that. And now to actually just be more mindful and more intentional about my money and to take that personal responsibility to have money. And I always turn this around and there's projects and cryptocurrencies to invest in that are socially responsible. So I think we've always been pitted in this choosing personal responsibility or social responsibility and sort of sacrificing one or the other. And this whole world with everything, this whole, you know, blockchain and cryptocurrency world just being so open right now, I was lucky enough to read the book Think and Grow Rich last year, and it had a huge impact on me. And just so many of the same concepts in history. You know, we're at a time right now where the financial industry is going through a seismic change, and we have like there's just opportunity at every level for people to get involved. So whether it's women or, you know, people of color or any group, you know, I think of the rapper Akon, who created Akon City in Senegal, Africa, and he has Acoin. You know, he runs on his own digital currency. Like there's just peer-to-peer is just going to open up so much opportunity for everyone. And yes, of course, it's important for us to be up on projects and invest in ones that we think are going to do better in the world.
Fantastic. And, you know, talk about blowing money. I grew up in the 80s, the roaring 80s, and the amount of money that came out of my pocket and went into the nightclubs is just astonishing when I look backwards. So I know that both of you have been doing a little bit of research in the blockchain space. So not necessarily in the investment side of things, but looking at what, you know, the blockchain's actually going to do or can do or will do for the world. Do you have, you know, is there a particular problem, a socioeconomic problem, or any you know, what do they call it? Existential threat problem? Is there anything that you want to see that you know, that you're really interested to see how the blockchain is going to affect it or improve it?
I think just to piggyback on my answer from before, I really see this as being like an equalizer kind of technology. You know, I think of how much overhead goes into inventory management and data management and our, you know, having entire departments dedicated to sort of these like silo work environments, and the type of environment in our operations and manufacturing production and all of this and all of our supply chains. We're going to enter an environment that has more transparency, more accountability, and we're going to be able to do things that, you know, currently right now, there's just so much bloat in the middle of our processes. They're just not very clean. Like this is really accumulated over time. And to be here now to sort of get this reset button. And I say that with a lot of sensitivity to the disintermediation that's going to happen. But I think at the end of this, cutting out the middleman in so many industries is just going to be really impactful. And just a quick story. I was telling Rachel the other day, I was on the phone with this student loan company, and I thought how crazy it was that I'm calling this person up and I have my, you know, account on my screen and they're on the other line and they have my account on their screen. And we're fighting over lines of text. I'm going, no, it's this date. If you just click down, and I'm like, where is blockchain? Because this is not going to be an issue. I'm not going to have to tell you on the phone what to look up. You know, this is going to be right on my app, or it's just going to streamline a lot of really cool things for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm really excited about just giving information and power back to the consumers just because of the inherent qualities of blockchain technology. The fact that, you know, because of the data immutability and traceability and transparency, that people, the human error, I guess, whether it's intentional or non-intentional, will be completely taken out. The fact that you'll be able to track ingredients in an entire supply chain and have complete transparency, you know, as a person who is very committed to a clean lifestyle and having to look up all of these different ingredients for all of these different products that I bring into my house, I think it's going to make my life much easier to be able to know what's in what I'm buying is there, and to have that trackability, transparency, traceability, that sort of thing. I think that's going to be really, really exciting and wonderful. And I think what really has me on the edge of my seat is just the fact that this technology is going to be affecting and permeating all areas of our lives. And we may not know or understand like the details of applied blockchain solutions, or even know that we're using it, but it's going to be affecting our day-to-day lives in ways that we're using as consumers. And these things haven't even been created yet. So we're on this precipice of just information, creative, explosion. And what are people going to come up with that are going to solve the problems of the future? Like, that's why hashtag invest now.
If I would just, sorry, I just want to jump in really quick too and say, Curtis, you mentioned this thing about women earlier and being in this space. And Rachel, that's a huge point. I mean, for me too, like we have like the environmental working group, we have tons of third-party agencies that are out there trying to verify that the ingredients that we're using are safe, especially in the beauty industry, with childcare. So this is a huge space for women to voice what is important to them through investing in projects that solve the problems that they have in their lives. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jacki, just to ask you to elaborate, because again, you mentioned that you got not only a degree in supply chain, but you worked in supply chain in various industries. And I think if I understand your story correctly, you decided to leave your previous position because what you were seeing was very upsetting. Were you happy to elaborate on that, or should we
Sure.
just leave that alone?
Yeah, without getting too down the rabbit hole, I worked for a newspaper for over 12 years. And I was very devout to that newspaper. Like I really wanted local journalism to, and it was printed newspaper. So I was like, this is important. It has to print. And I was always on the production and operations side. So I was actually handling our about $700,000 of newsprint every month. And this was an internationally traded product. So, I mean, I was on the docks, I was in logistics, I spoke with truckers every day, I broke up fights a few times. I got to do some cool things while I was there, but you learn a lot about the logistics industry. And my employer sponsored me for my MBA, which was amazing. And I started learning, I'll never forget, it was the Smucker's website had a whole page devoted to what measures they take to stop human trafficking or to be aware of it. And that was 2016 when I learned that. And I had sort of heard about human trafficking. I was like, I think this is a thing. But when I was actually like seeing it in an MBA setting and don't even get me started on maritime law and all this other stuff that's going on now. I mean, to see it really come to fruition. And it was kind of really a mind bend for me because I was in a news media organization that I was pretty upset that not everyone has access to an MBA. I was lucky that it got gifted to me. And to have to read about this in books in institutions that are out of reach for so many people, and yet I'm not seeing this in the mainstream news. I'm not seeing this in a newspaper. I think it just kind of really blew that was heavy for me for a while. There was a lot of cognitive dissonance. I think my story is kind of relatable to a lot of what people are going through right now. And that's kind of what like fuels me up to just be a part of the wave, because I was bamboozled and a lot of people are for a long time.
Absolutely. It's a very uncomfortable subject to think about and talk about. And we know that there's a lot of projects now that are looking, blockchain based projects that are looking to solve some of those problems, specifically with, I don't know about trafficking as much, but certainly things like, child labor and those types of things. So let's not go down that dark hole for the moment. Again, I was just curious why, where you were, and I appreciate your feedback there. Kind of on a more positive note, I know that you both, as I am, are looking forward, and you two are more kind of looking at from a consciousness point of view and developing your consciousness and your spirituality and all that stuff. How do we prepare for what's coming with the blockchain? Again, you mentioned disintermediation, which for those people who don't know, it's the concept of, you know, business processes and business people being disintermediated or being removed from their roles. We have these concepts of, you know, AI and automated cars and all this stuff. So the world's going to change. A lot of people are going to be disrupted. What advice would you give people your own age to prepare and get ready for what's coming?
I was just thinking about this today, how there is such a gap between our older generation and our youth. And I think experiencing consciousness and doing things more consciously means taking everybody into account when we are coming up with solutions. You know, we're all going together, we're all walking each other home. And, you know, Rachel and I met in a meditation course online. We were meditating 3 times a day during this crazy pandemic. And our mentor calls it the alpha drop, when we get out of our crazy beta brain waves and slow down into this alpha brainwave space. And for me, it really made me realize that, you know, my brain is a processor. Our brain is a processor. We have data inputs. We have data in there that, you know, it's just kind of jumbling around. And when I meditate, to me, that's like process. It's like the defrag time, you know, it's like making sense of the data and like getting out the junk. And we're at this like really cool point where technology, everything we're inventing in technology, you know, there's a human brain behind that. So it's almost like our understanding of natural processes lends itself to all these technological innovations. But communicating that between generations and communicating that out into the world seems to be the most difficult gap, in my opinion, right now. Curtis, as you know, like things can get so techy, and some people just want to move fast and they just want to move forward. And it's almost like we all have to kind of be on the same page that this is about maybe not even advancing humanity forward, because that's very linear, but maybe it's about giving humanity better choices, you know, through these innovations. And to give better choices, we have to know the needs and wants of all sorts of people.
Awesome.
You know, I think another, like I had said earlier, what is so exciting is that we're at the beginning of this timeline, and everything is just going to be evolving and expanding so rapidly, you know, over the next few decades. And, you know, just imagine the amount of creative force that's going to be pushing this momentum, and who's going to be doing that. Like, we all will, and the generations to come will be part of this like co-creation. And you know, this conscious creation is going to be like seen and tangible, like at every step of the whole process. Jacki and I did a podcast a couple episodes ago about trusting the times, and this is exactly what we talked about, just consciousness. And, you know, we talk about blockchain, and, you know, blockchain's coming, consciousness, how does this all tie together? Why is this important? And, you know, what do we do? And of course, we both love meditation, and we met in the meditation course. But, you know, how do you kind of like create this space of be living in this vibration where, you know, everything is just coming to you, and all of the answers to questions that you had, whether it's technology related or otherwise, just come to you, and you realize that you don't actually have any questions or problems, you have opportunities. And you know, this has to be followed by intentional action, because just kind of being in this like consciousness space, you has to be followed by some action. But yeah, I think whenever you kind of are in that consciousness, you just realize that you're a co-creator, and things can come from ideas and come into physical form, just and manifest like right in front of your eyes.
Well, I really appreciate your perspective. I hear so many, and I don't mean to put a split in between male and female as in like, you know, it's 50-50, but it is 50-50. And women do oftentimes have completely different perspectives on things like technology. So I was really looking forward to getting your feedback there. And I appreciate you, you know, being off the cuff and being real with me. It's fantastic. Okay. So if you've mentioned doing a podcast, and Jacki, you mentioned Alpha Drop. And of course, that's the name of your podcast. It's also the name, I think you have a YouTube channel as well. Tell me a little bit about that. What's the message that you're trying to create? I know that you two, even though you seem like you're lifelong friends, you only met a few months ago, I think, and it's been really interesting to interact with you along the way. but what's your goal for your podcast and your channel? And, you know, what's the message you're trying to get out there? And what, I guess, for those people who might think about subscribing, what kind of value do you think you can bring to people?
Well, we're really talking about like lots of different things. We're having conscious conversations about really everything from meditation through blockchain solutions, and, you know, really everything in between. We're just trying to bring consciousness to the everyday consumer and bridging the gap and bringing the light to everyone from the consumer and the community, but to the conscious creators of, you know, the people that are going to be developing this stuff and the technology behind it, and really the leaders of the industry, as well as people that are just kind of like waking up and coming into this entire space of consciousness and blockchain and what that all means. So that's kind of the base, I would say, and bridging the gap. I mean, it's noticing where we are and where we are as people and where we are as like humanity, seeing the potential and kind of bridging the gap. And I think we're acting kind of as master communicators and connectors in the space by kind of working in that kind of gap space as well. And ultimately, we're looking to do a applied blockchain solution project. And we don't know necessarily all of the steps that are going to take us from here to there, but we know what it is that we're looking to do. And we know that just by showing up and offering our space or our voice in the space, that the people and the connections that we need will come to us, and we'll be able to kind of like almost document this whole process as we go through life, and bringing all of the things that will be helpful to us as far as creating a business, and, you know, what are the important things to create a business relationship and ourselves, and, you know, like I said, everything from blockchain to our ultimate goal of creating and having a value in the blockchain space. But yeah, it's already happening, so it's really exciting.
For me, I feel like you guys just gave such tall orders. I was like, I came to party. You know, the podcast, it's really kind of like this bizarre dream come true for me. Like everything sort of just came to like this point. But working in the newspaper industry, eventually I ended up in new business development. It was like, this is your last department, Jackie. Basically, you're happy here or you're not. So when I was doing that, I remember I had this great idea. I was like, you know what, guys, what if we took all our social media statistics and just published them in the paper the same way that they publish like the stocks every day? Like, let's give the community their data. And they were like, you know, I think everybody was just like, I think you are on drugs or something. So I was like, oh, just another idea that's not going anywhere. Okay. But that was fine. But now to do this and to actually be talking about like transparent data and communicating it out through media. And I always, you know, it's drilled into my head. I'm telling you guys, I really had a savior complex about saving the newspaper at one point. And I looked up, and the American Press Institute defines the purpose of journalism as providing citizens with the information they need to make the best possible decisions about their lives, their communities, their societies, and their governments. And, you know, to sort of ignore this huge thing that's happening, and for me to be on the other side of just knowing how powerful it's going to be when we have peer-to-peer communication and people really in control of their data, and maybe not even in control, but the option to be in control of your data, and to be, you know, even for a business to be able to be completely transparent with their own customers. I mean, this is just the beginning. And like Rachel said, you know, we're meditators, we journal, we do all the personal development stuff. And that's, you know, this idea of even decentralized journalism. I mean, you can teach yourself so much stuff off of the internet, and data is just going to get faster, and it's going to get more powerful and more concentrated. And it's an exciting time to learn the tool and sort of like document our process through it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I tell you, if there's any one industry in need of a savior, it's certainly the journalism newspaper / industry, right? slowly but surely kind of losing its way. I don't know. Not having any background in that industry, I don't know what to do to save it. But again, if there's one industry that needs saving, it's certainly journalism and printed newspapers. So having said that, is there any last thoughts that you might want to share with people? Just a quick, I know, again, Jacki has 10 plus years in the supply chain industry. Rachel as like a fully certified acupuncturist, among other things. So you two bring a lot of a wide range of experience to these discussions. So I look forward to listening to your podcast in the future, just to see what you're going to uncover. I know you both have some fantastic viewpoints, but any parting thoughts you want to share with anyone?
Parting thoughts for me, I just think, for anybody out there right now, I feel like we're going into this like renaissance. So like Rachel and I found a podcast as an outlet for, living and working and learning and growing. And it's just, the opportunities are there. It's a bleak time. Our mentor always says that you have to escape the gravity of the crowd. And I agree. So, for everybody, I hope anything inspires people to just sort of channel that energy, channel that negativity, because there is optimism and there are good things happening and they're all around,
Yeah, I'm, just to kind of stay with like the idea of just my excitement for blockchain and where this is all going. I can't wait to see what happens in this entire space as we continue to bring more consciousness to our awareness and integrate that into technology. I think that we'll come up with some pretty amazing things moving forward into the future. And we don't even know what that is yet. So we're just at a really exciting time to be able to be part of the conversation of, what if, and how is this all going to play out? So yeah, thanks for having us, Curtis. I'm really glad to be here.
My pleasure, absolutely. And just finally, how do people find you? How can we find your podcast? How do we find your videos, et cetera, et cetera?
We're on the astral plane. So just drop into meditation and YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Libsyn, Spotify, we're everywhere. Just search the Alpha Drop and yeah, that should do it, right?
We're there.
She's the tech. She takes care of all the out stuff, the social media stuff.
Yeah. We're there. We are the only Alpha Drop.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to having you on again, and we can share some experiences as we go through this crazy, crazy times of seeing how blockchain is going to change the world. And look forward to catching up once again. And with that, everyone, this is Crypto Kurt out.
Peace. Thank you.